We should mention there's a bill being introduced today that would, as Axios puts it, temporarily empower McHenry to oversee the passage of legislation. So it's possible that they could resign themselves to this limbo today. That could just become very clear by the end of the day. We don't yet know, but it's certainly one thing we want to mention here. Let's roll the tape of one Democrat floating just a delicious suggestion for House Republicans.
I could see President George W. Bush serving as Speaker of the House. He could come back and obviously I'm not a real fan of how the Iraq War went, but I would think that any reasonable Republican would be somebody that Democrats could work with if it was part of a system where you didn't have 5 of the most extreme Republicans blocking important legislation.
You just said a name that I didn't even know was in the speaker realm, and that was former President George W. Bush. A, is that someone you would support? And B, where are we in this fight? Are we close to a resolution?
George W. Bush, I pick him as a traditional Republican who isn't doing anything right now. Mitt Romney also comes to mind, but he's got a Senate seat to fill for a while.
Krystal, can I say this is exactly what fuels Matt Gaetz? This pisses people off so much because the Never Jordan votes are the people that would be like, oh, hey, George W. Bush, oh, okay, yeah, like, I hear you. That's Brad Sherman, Democrat Brad Sherman, who suggested that. But good comic relief to your point, Krystal.
Thank God George W. Bush is not going to be Speaker of the House. It's not a serious proposal, but it is very revealing. The way he can just be like, the Iraq War wasn't my cup of tea, but that's all water under the bridge. All the torture and war crimes and Gitmo and the Iraqi civilians who were killed and our own men and women and the treasure and the chaos of the Middle East and helping to spark ISIS. Boys will be boys, I guess. It's all good. He's the reasonable Republican. It's like, nothing has made me more insane in the Trump era than the rehabilitation of George W. Bush specifically, but all of the neocons. I mean, Nicole Wallace over on MSNBC and all these resistance heroes who all they have to do is be like, I don't like Trump. And we're like, okay, we forgive you for the war crimes. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's all link arms. You're reasonable. That is the thing that I hate the most about Donald Trump and our politics. Because the divide becomes about nothing other than him. No policy, the history is wiped clean. All of our memories are erased. No forward-looking policy. I mean, that's the other thing. That's another reason why I think Jim Jordan is so perfect is because he has never passed any legislation. And in the Trump era, that is exactly emblematic of where we all are, that it doesn't have to do with policy and delivering for the American people. It's just what do you think about the person of Donald Trump specifically? And so since George W. Bush is, seen as being on the other side, on the correct side of the Trump divide, then all of the horrors of his presidency are immediately forgiven because he has the right answer on the one question that apparently matters in American politics.
Which is, this question of civility and decency,
decorum.
Which doesn't, right, exactly. So war crimes out the window, but if he's civil and decent and is friends with Michelle Obama, he is one of the good ones. Meanwhile, again, whatever you think of Matt Gaetz, he is as anti-war as a Republican possibly could get, although I don't know where he stands on just bombing the shit out of Mexico. That's a different question.
I wouldn't take I would not label him anti-war, but anyway.
But as a Republican?
He did make some good noises about stock trading ban. I'll give him credit on that one. I'm not willing to call him anti-war.
And again, as a Republican can get, that's probably as anti-war as you'll ever find a Republican. So it's more of a standard of Republican anti-war candidates. But to the point, that is what really fuels people like Matt Gaetz is when you have that the warmongers being the ones that are depicted by both the left and the centrist right as the decent and civil ones, and that's why they come in and say, all right, well, I'm blowing Congress up because you people suck. And they have a point. Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.
Help us build independent news and get the full show every morning at breakingpoints.com.